So happy Tuesday. Let's start off with our daily pledge and then we'll get going with some more tips and tools. Today is a new day. I'm ready to be the best me I can be. I will listen so I can learn. I will try hard so my brain can grow. I will not give up. I can learn anything I put my mind to. So again, it's a new day. It's a good time for you to really get out there, get outside, get some fresh air, and focus on moving around, exercise, and feeling better. Okay, so anyways, I forgot to get my other thingy out here. You can tell I'm tired today. Where are you at? Let's do our check-in. How are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? Did you wake up feeling really great this morning or not so much? And if so, what are you going to do with both of them? Again, like I always say, I'm hoping that even when we don't check in together, you're checking in on yourself so that you know where you're at. Sometimes it's just kind of nice to even know, like maybe there's better days of the week. Maybe the beginning of the week is not as good as the end of the week for you. Whatever it may be, it's important to start knowing your cycle or kind of what your pattern is, so you can either implement more coping skills on those days or get more active on those days, because I would say for the most part, everybody kind of cycles all over the place. So you just never know, and we're all different, and that's what makes us unique. So I kind of like this. We'll just start off with this recovery. What does recovery mean? A lot of people talk about recovery, but I think sometimes we have a misperception of what recovery actually is. So it said for most people with a serious mental illness, recovery is an ongoing process. Now remember that. Recovery is an ongoing process. Since the illness is not likely to get totally resolved, there will be an ongoing management of the condition. So our mental health is an ongoing process. It's like somebody that has diabetes, or is struggling with weight, or is struggling with memory, whatever it may be. It's an ongoing process. When we talk about recovery, it doesn't mean that one day we're going to wake up and be symptom-free and never have to experience mental illness again. It's something that we're always working on. It's something that we're always trying to figure out how we can handle with certain situations and how we cycle and what medications help and what support system we need. It's always moving. Recovery is the process of reclaiming one's life from mental illness. Recovery is reclaiming your life. It's putting the tools in place to be happier, to live more successfully, to socialize more, to feel comfortable in the community, to potentially have a job, or to learn how to function during the day and take care of yourself. So recovery is not, when we think about recovering from like a broken leg, you take your cast off, you can move and you can walk and you're all good to go. But that's not the recovery process for mental illness. Again, recovery is not totally resolving it. It's reclaiming your life. You learn to deal with it. Again, it's like somebody with diabetes. You check your blood sugars and you just learn to handle how and what you should be eating or what you should be doing so you can live a happier life. However, it doesn't go away. As with difficult events in life, over time, people learn to adjust to challenges. So if you struggle to be out in the community or around groups of people, whatever it may be, we just learn to deal with that. So recovery is about what? It's about finding one's place in the world. Recovery is about learning who you are, where you fit in, what that looks like. Where do you belong in the community or with a group of individuals? So that's what recovery is. Recovery is finding one's place in the world. Recovery is also attaining a peace of mind, having a peace of mind, feeling content, having balance, having that understanding that you are where you're supposed to be, your medications are right, you have coping skills, your mental health, you pretty much kind of understand how it ebbs and flows, you have a great support team, you're looking for that balance and that peace. Recovery is establishing relationships with friends and family. Positive relationships with friends and family. It's discovering opportunities to grow and finding happiness. So recovery is truly just about being content and finding those things in your life that get that fire burning in your belly and they just make you feel good. You are not bipolar disorder, but it is a part of you. I don't like when people say, I am schizophrenia or I am bipolar. It does not make you who you are. It's just a part of who you are, okay? But here's what recovery is not. So this is, again, is part of that misperception that can be damaging to our growth because it makes us feel disappointment. It makes us feel like we want to give up. Remember, we talked about that yesterday. We lose our motivation. So when we have this perception of what recovery is, it really starts to kind of put like a cap on us, because we start to see like no progress, and we don't feel those things or see these things. So then we just quit trying, okay? And that's not okay. So recovery is not a cure. It will never go away. It is always something that is a part of who we are. We just learn to deal with those symptoms. Recovery is not freedom from symptoms. However, you may have a really good day where you don't even notice it. You may have a good year or a good 10 years, okay? But it never is going to go away. You just learn to deal with different things. Now, ultimately, I'm not doing this to be a Debbie Downer. However, I just still want us to have something in our brain where we at least have an understanding that recovery is just simply finding happiness and learning to deal with things in certain ways, even though you have anxiety, or even though you get manic, or even though you may have feel paranoid, or have some hallucinations, or experience delusions, whatever it may be, doesn't mean we can't continue to live our life. Those symptoms may never go away, but we can learn to find a different peace, right? Recovery is not an end to our challenges. However, no matter if you've been diagnosed with a mental illness or not, life is always going to throw you challenges. So recovery is not going to end your challenges. But again, life is always a challenge. And so we need to learn to embrace them. Again, that's an opportunity for us to learn and to grow and to fail. Because remember, we have to fail forward. We have to learn from our mistakes. We have to be able to understand certain things have been thrown at us for a reason. We need to learn from them. Recovery is not the elimination of relapses. It's not. You could go 20 years and then potentially one day something kind of strikes up again. But what do you do with that? Even after 20 years, you get out your toolbox and you start working on ways to help yourself. After 20 years, you still reach out to your supports or do whatever it takes to make sure that you can get yourself back on track, because relapses happen. Life events can trigger those. Certain situations can trigger those, but it's what you do with it that makes your recovery process full circle. Recovery does not take away relapses. However, recovery is about how you use those skills to make sure that that relapse is short-lived, right? Recovery is not life as originally planned. What is originally planned anyways? We all may have a perception of what life should look like. However, that doesn't actually happen. But like I said yesterday, a lot of times we don't get what we want in life, but we get to where we're supposed to be. And those are the things that we need to embrace. So I like that. I just kind of enjoyed that definition of what recovery is and what it is not, because ultimately when we have a misperception, it makes it difficult for us to work on things because we get very discouraged. All right, so I just printed off this little toolbox. I might give people a copy of this. It's just kind of cool. You can color it. You can put certain things in there. I found it, and I had found it originally when I started doing these Facebook videos, but I found it again, and I liked it because it just is a good reminder. Mental health toolbox is like any other toolbox. If you have multiple tools to fix things around your house, or fix your car or whatever it is. I mean, you could have an entire shop full of tools, right? Because you need different tools for different things, because not one tool fixes everything. So why do we short ourselves in our mental health? You can't just have one tool to fix a problem. That's not how it works. Every problem requires a different tool. Every symptom requires a different tool. So fill those toolboxes up with as many tools as you can find, because not one thing is going to help us. Do not rely on one tool to get you through, because that is not how it works. So again, I like this because it's just a good picture of mental health, what an actual toolbox looks like. You're not going to use a hammer to screw things down, right? You just need multiple things in your back pocket. And so I want to make sure you put that in there. What is recovery? What is mental health? I like this girl too. What is mindfulness? I thought she was cute. Mindfulness is being in the present, in the here and now. We're not ruminating about the past, and we're not worrying about the future. We talked a little bit about that yesterday, putting your worries aside, and you got to live in the moment, okay? So today, when you're thinking about coping skills, and you're thinking about your mental health, and you're thinking about recovery. Now, I gave you examples of what recovery is and what it is not. However, let's focus on what recovery is today. Let's stay mindful. What does recovery mean to you? That's going to be your challenge for today as part of Tips and Tools and Topic Tuesday. What does recovery mean to you? What are you working on? What do you still need to work on? What do you need to be mindful of right now? Do you need to be mindful of just simply using your tools? Do you need to stay mindful of what your symptoms look like? Triggers, warning signs, whatever it is, being in the present. We're not going to worry about the past. We're not going to worry about the future. We're going to focus on today. We have to stay in the moment. We have to stay mindful because ultimately it can get a little bit difficult down the road. It gets overwhelming. Our thoughts add up. Remember, ants, automatic negative thoughts. Sometimes they can start to spiral. When we're starting to spiral down, it's hard to stay in the moment. It's hard to stay mindful. And so think about that today. Think of this girl holding up her sign. She's not in the past and she's not in the future. She's right here in the moment. Think about her today when you're working on focusing on coping skills, or if you have a stressful event, or if there's something going on today, or you have lots of appointments, or people are irritating, or whatever it may be, or there's just too many things on your plate and you're worrying and you're stressing, or maybe you procrastinated. Let's just focus on the here and now. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry about the future. Stay present. Stay mindful. A lot of times we need grounding techniques. Put your feet flat on the ground. Maybe you're going to play with a smooth rock. Remember the sights, the sounds, the smells. Those are all things that keep us grounded, okay? So if you're thinking about being mindful, think of mindful and grounding. Just those things that are solid. Think of a solid surface. And those are the things that are going to help us calm down, think straight, stay in the moment, recognize, how we're feeling and what tools we need to use. Oh, I don't have time for that worksheet. I better move that right along. What should you be putting in your toolbox? Again, we've talked about many different things, but you need to have different categories. I like this. And we can go back over this too, but they talk about things to self-soothe, things to stay aware, things to distract you, mindfulness items, sensations, journaling, acceptance, things that are going to help you. Again, these are kind of all grounding techniques. These are things that are going to help you take a step back and relax. Self-soothing, you should have things like you could do some paintings, maybe you have a soft blanket, a candle, music, special food, a pack of gum. Put them all in your toolbox. Keep things in here that you know you're going to need or could use. You could put some paints in here. You could put a candle in here. Put some soft material in here. Maybe you put a pack of gum in here. Whatever it is that you think that maybe you would need on a day where you need to pull out your toolbox, okay? I like this. Awareness is just becoming aware of what's happening. So maybe you have some emotion, like a little chart or a little, get out, index card. I knew it would come to me. Get out your index card and just write down different emotions or things that you struggle with so they can help you. So maybe that index card will help you be able to identify them when you're not having a good day. A lot of times when our mental health isn't bad, we can't identify things. We struggle to kind of bring things to the surface or recognize them, understand them, and then realize what we should do with them. So maybe on the front of your index card, you write down different emotions that you need to try and identify. And then on the back side of your index card, write down ways that you're going to combat that, okay? Because ultimately, it's just going to be a good trigger. It's going to jog your memory. It's going to be a good reminder so that you can be like, oh, yes, okay, so when I'm having these emotions, here's what I need to do or here's what I should be working on. Distractions, put things in there like if you're going to have a funny book, maybe a funny movie, or if you don't have room in your toolbox, just write them down. What are some distractions? Write a list down on your little index card, put it in the box so you can pull it out and you can know what those things are that you should be doing during that moment. Mindfulness, put a little mindfulness, put the title up on the top of the card, write down, your senses, positive thoughts, breathing, walking, things that are going to help you stay in the moment. Sometimes they say people like even just to put their feet in the grass. I don't know about you guys, but my grass has been a little crunchy lately without the rain, so it doesn't feel very nice. But some people like that soft. They just need to plant their feet in the water or things like that. It's grounding. Oh, goodness. Meditations, things for strengths, holding ice, maybe just to remind you of things. So again, get out your toolbox and just maybe get some index cards or some pieces of paper, whatever, and just start writing down things that you know you need to remember. This is just another great day to get that out and start working on it. We're always working on our toolbox, and what we've learned today is that we're always working on our recovery. Don't ever think for a second that it's gone. Because it's not, and it's always there. We obviously don't have to focus our attention on it every single day, but we need to stay mindful that it's an ongoing process, that we need to make sure we have a certain plan in place or tools in place that are going to help us get through. So today I want you to think about, what is recovery to you, and what do you need to do? What plan do you need to have in place to help you continue to grow in your recovery, or to allow you to kind of take a seat for a minute and relax and enjoy feeling good? But what do you need to have in place just in case you do have a relapse, or what's your plan? It's kind of like having a crisis plan to make sure that you use your tools and get back on track faster and not allow it to make you feel worse. Okay, so what does recovery mean to you? Please work on your toolbox, get that thing filled up. Remember, if mechanics and people have an entire toolbox of tools for different things, we should have those many different tools to help us feel better, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, socially. The list goes on and on. So have an amazing day. Please focus on what recovery means to you. Get outside and go for a walk. It is beautiful out. We'll see you tomorrow morning for Wellness Wednesday.